Hey people, welcome to the channel The More Survivalist, and I was just watching some of the many stories from what's happened in Valencia in Spain and a couple other places, but the stories just remind you as of why we do what we do, why there's a certain logic to all of these things. It's sometimes in the tiny details, but it's worth revisiting. As always, if you want to learn more about all of this stuff, you have the channel with a ton of information. You have my books, Surviving the Economic Collapse, Street Survival Skills. These are available in the links there below. I'll try to leave links for some of these things as well if you want to buy something from Amazon. So one of the things that I heard was, and there was many stories similar of people that were just being dragged away by the water and they just were holding on for dear life. Some people spend the entire night holding on to a tree top, because that was the only part that was left. There's people that were hanging from light posts. There's people that were like swimming for miles among the debris and miraculously survived. Now, one of the first things I think of when that kind of story is heard is, well, what about this? Besides all of the items, the things, the stuff, have you actually looked into conditioning, becoming stronger? Can you hold on? Can you have that physical strength that is needed? I mean, I was told of this guy that was 60 years old. He ended up swimming for miles in the mud. And yeah, super lucky, no doubt. But also, dude, 60 years old, swimming in those conditions for that kind of distance. These stories just remind you as of how important it is not only to have the right mental attitude, but to also have the physical conditioning, the stamina, the strength, the cardio. These are things you have to work on. It's not as easy as just go buy stuff, but that's very important as well. Now, for people that were holding on to a light post just to not be dragged away by the current, what happens here is not only that you drown, because the water is tremendously strong and there's a lot of it. So you get just thrown around like a little leaf. I mean, cars are dragged around as if they're nothing. Imagine a person. It's not only the water that drowns you, you're being hit on all sides. There was this woman, she was telling how, well, she did survive, but she said that the current was dragging her and she was hitting cars, branches, trees, bodies of people. Insane stuff. Now, I was thinking of, you know what, if you have to hold on to something and you have a belt like this, that may make the difference, all the difference in the world. You have a belt like this, you can strap yourself and hold on, and you're not requiring and you're not depending only on your physical strength, your arms, to hold on to stuff, right? A belt like this can even, you can tow a car with this thing. These are very strong. These are regular belts, and they have several advantages. They're thought as, you could actually rappel with these things. This is a Spec Ops made in US belt. You don't want to go cheap on these things. You want to buy quality stuff because this fabric needs to be as strong as it seems. Same for these buckles. These are very strong. These are great for people that carry. If you're carrying concealed, a belt like this. I mean, there's different sorts of belts, some more tactical-ish than others, but this is a very nice one. I've had this for many years, and it's as simple as it gets, but it has this ring here for rappelling. I mean, it's not a rappel harness, but it can be done. It's been a long time. It's been many years since I last rappelled. Simple enough. It's not all of that difficult of a skill to have, but it's not just rappelling. And yes, you could have your back in there and so on, but the idea of just having a point to anchor yourself to something so as to not get dragged away by the current, to have something to lower you or move in a strong current and having a better odd of not getting dragged away and surviving. This is something that is just so frequently underestimated, and yet if I have a belt, why not have the best possible one? A good rigorous belt, I think, is one of those things you really want to incorporate. And then there's everything else we talk about here all the time. Why is it that even in a tiny EDC bag, I suggest having water? Well, because people were just desperate for a little bit of water with hours within the disaster. Why is it that you have a flashlight? Well, yeah, sure, you use it all the time. This is one of those things that you use all the time, but also you have in case of a large-scale disaster, right? You signal your location, but also the whistle. Having a whistle means that you don't have to shout so as to make your position noticed. You signal in the dark with a light. You have the whistle to make yourself noticed in that position, okay? These are all little things that you may end up not needing it, and you use it for just finding something in the dark, whatever. But when it comes down to it, it is an extremely important signaling tool in a disaster. Add the whistle. These are things that just make a lot of sense. I have my folder, for a number of potential uses, but I choose one that also has the seatbelt cutter. It has the glass breaker. I mean, it's not ideal, but you can kind of pry with this thing. It is sturdy enough. It's not going to be a pry bar, but it's a solid, reliable folder, right? It does a bunch of things that with my little Victorinox keychain knife, I just wouldn't be able to. Even stuff like this, like your Leatherman. Why is it that I have both of these in my pockets? Well, one of the things that I can do with this, I may need a little bit more time, but damn it, it can be done. You can file through a burglar bar, a window that has a bar or a lock or something that you just need to open that thing up. If not, you're drowning or you're burning or you're caught after some kind of disaster or for whatever reason. Well, eventually you will get through that bar with this thing. It will cut through it. It can do it. It certainly can. This file, no problem whatsoever. It won't be fast. There's better tools. I mean, heck, get a power tool if you can. But if you don't have anything else, these are things that make a big difference, all right? So there is always a logic to all of this. We just don't always think about some of the worst case scenarios in which all of this can be critical to keeping you alive. Guys, that's going to be all for now. See you on our next video. Take care.